welcome to the show, everyone. I'm excited today to share with you how to be free of fear, doubt, and anxiety. I have with me Daniel Packard. I'm so excited to have this conversation. He and I got to have a session last week, actually, to sort of go through his system and what we're going to share today. And I'm excited to share him with you. So welcome to the show, Daniel.
Thank you so much for having me, JJ. I just appreciate you. We did have a chance for us to share what we do, and I got to learn more about you. And first of all, I want to tell your audience, I talk to a lot of people, and I mean this, a lot of people out there coach stuff, and as you know, they don't always embody what they teach. And I have to tell you, I'm not blowing smoke up your, you know what, I really want to appreciate the deep work that you've done, JJ, but also I want to tell your audience that you're the real deal and you've done the deep work, and a lot of symptoms that people struggle with, you really don't have that much and you can't fake that. So I appreciate you. And I also appreciate your audience because they are aligned with you. And so anyone listening to this podcast, I appreciate you because you want to be better and you know that to get there, you have to heal. And while you know that, as you know, most of the world doesn't want to do it, and it takes courage and perseverance. And so I appreciate your audience. And your audience is who I like to help, the people who heal. And what I want to share with them is what I share with you is a way to heal in a way that's simpler and much faster and gets permanent results. Because your audience, as you know, some of them, this is just the world we live in, they have something that's holding them back and they work on it and they work on it. They get tips and tools and insights and awareness. And very often it's better, but it's not gone. And when I was there, it left me feeling broken, like there's something wrong with me. Maybe I just have to live like this. And I want to share with your audience an understanding of what they're struggling with so that they can move beyond managing and just be free of it, so they can be the happiest, shiniest, most healed version of themselves quickly and permanently. So let's do this.
Let's do it. So, just like with anything, I appreciate what you just said because, I came into our meeting, I'm not going to say skeptical. I was open, but you got some pretty good claims there that I thought, all right, well, this is big stuff, and I want to see what this is about. And I was open and I was ready, and we did catch me at a time where I was dealing with something, so I had something to bring to the table for sure. And what we came to find out with each other's work is that we do similar things in different ways. And I think that there's a place for all of it, because I'm very clear that most of you who are listening to me that have never done anything with me may never do anything with me. So, and what I always say over and over again is just fucking do something. I don't care who you work with. Yes, I'd love it to be me, but if it's not going to be me, at least do something, because I want people to do something. So I apologize if the F-bomb bothered you, but I don't hold back on this show. I don't say it often, but I use it when it's needed. And that is sometimes my little bitch slap, if you will, in someone's face, because, people can't talk about healing and do nothing. You can talk about it, but forget it, you're not going to be healing. You can listen to a podcast every day, and I give lots of tools, but that doesn't mean you're implementing them. And that doesn't mean you're stretching into a new part of yourself or looking or re-examining something that you haven't considered before, which is what I think we're going to do today a little bit. So, so where do you want to start in terms of, do you want to share your story about sort of how you even got here and what prompted you to create this system and your background?
Yeah. And I want to share it because, one, I think your audience wants to know, who the heck am I? Who's this? I mean, look, everybody loves the idea of being free of what holds them back. That sounds great, but they've been overpromised and underdelivered, by what I call the improvement industrial complex. It's $1 trillion industry globally. And myself and your audience, they bought a lot of things that sounded great, just didn't work that well. So now you have someone like me making this big claim, and they're going to be skeptical, understandably. So I want to tell my story so that your audience knows that what I'm going to be sharing with them in the next 45 minutes or so, the content is not too good to be true. And this really is an innovation. And the innovation is the effectiveness of what we do, and that in a short period of time, you get measurable results, because when we work with people, we're always measuring, and also permanent results quickly. And the reason we're able to get these results is because growing up, my dad was a scientist, and he understood the value of results, and he sat me down as a kid. And he said something, he didn't mean for it to impact me, but it did. He said, you know what, Daniel, anybody can have a theory or an idea, but you don't know if it's going to work. He said, the person you can trust, the person that really knows what's going on, is the person that gets results. He said, results matter. And that always stuck with me. And growing up, I was a little inventor. I was a little mini MacGyver, you know, in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he's got the pulleys and the strings and the things. And when I saw that movie, I went, "Oh, I want to make stuff that works and gets results." And my dad lent me his workshop, and I would go down there and spend hours tinkering and designing little things that would work and get results. And it's very satisfying. And then I went to engineering school to get a proper training in how to look at a complex problem that you think is unsolvable, how to break it down into smaller mechanical components. Then that's just theory. Then what do? You build a prototype. Okay. But then you got to test it to see if it gets results, and it never does. And what we're trained is then how to take the prototype, refine it, adjust it, calibrate it such that I got very good at making things and machines and inventions that just worked and got results. And the good news was I was really good at making things that got results and worked. The downside is, spoiler alert, engineering school did not train me how to make life work. And so I could make a robot that played ping pong, but I was anxious, I was insecure, I had procrastination and people pleasing and perfectionism, overthinking. I didn't have issues. I had freaking subscriptions. And, you know, like your audience, I'm struggling and I go looking for help. And I spent 10 years, 100 grand, the retreats, the therapists, the coaches, the gurus, the books, the apps. I was probably in a cult. I was definitely in a cult. I mean, I did it all. And after about 10 years, I had some awareness. I had some tools. But if I'm being honest, it just helped me manage it. It wasn't gone. It was better, but I just wasn't the person I wanted to be. I wasn't as happy as I wanted to be. I knew there was more in me, but I couldn't access it because all I had were these management tools and Band-Aids, and I was unhappy. I felt broken, like there was something wrong with me. And I don't think I would have taken my own life, but I got why people do. I was like, well, what's the point? I'm not happy and I've tried everything, nothing. I felt stuck. And in this kind of angry spiritual moment, I look up at the sky and I just get pissed. And I kind of, whoever's up there pulling the strings, I just said, what do you want from me? Obviously, this is a test. I've spent 10 years, 100 grand. What do you want from me? And I didn't expect an answer, but I got this sort of voice, if you will, that basically reminded me what my dad said, which is results matter. And I just saw that $100,000 I spent, well-intentioned people, great insights, but like real results, not great results. I mean, if I have a broken leg and I go into the doctor and like 10 years later, I go in and the doctor's like, yeah, let's just really continue to explore your broken leg and really avoid the triggers that activate your broken leg. Like avoid stairs. I'm like, no, I want to go in. I want you to understand this and let's solve this. And that's not what the improvement industrial complex does. That's how they make $1 trillion a year. If they're solving stuff, they can't charge that much. So because I'm an engineer, I said, well, wait a minute. I know how to solve things. I know how to engineer things and find solutions. And so I started my own research company, Full Liberation Technology, with the mission, the goal to reverse engineer a process, a system that was simple, easy to do, mechanical, and such that by the end of 6 weeks, what you're struggling with, anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, overthinking, the usual suspects, it's measurably and permanently gone. And we didn't know if it was possible. I just felt called to do it. And it was way harder than I thought, which is why I can see why people don't do it. But the beauty of engineers and inventors is we have that tenacity to just stick with it. And it took 8 years, it took $1 million in research and development. We worked with 3,000 people. We worked with monks in India and addicts in South Africa, entrepreneurs in Europe, athletes in the US. We worked with a lot of people. And after 8 years of R&D, we finally basically cracked the code, which was a simple, easy to apply process and system with all the tools that you need, such that it addresses the root cause so you're free of it. And I was one of the first beneficiaries. I woke up one morning and I felt just oddly calm. It was weird. It was creepy. And then I started thinking of the things that usually made me insecure and procrastinate. And it was gone. And I thought, well, this is temporary. There's no way it's permanent. It's never permanent. 1 month goes by, 2 months goes by. It's been 8 years. I wake up chill as a cucumber. I really, on a cellular level, do not care what people think of me. I can't procrastinate if I try. It's just, I'm free of it. And so the value of it is the system that addresses the root cause, but then also because our approach was systematic and mechanical, it's now systematized so that anybody can have these results.
I know when we had the session, you had kind of categorized a certain number of ways that we can help our nervous system. Was that something we can talk about, or something you want to direct people to at the end?
We can talk about it, but I think to share that information, I first want to explain what's going on with us. It's much easier to understand, and then that information will be helpful. Does that feel okay to you?
Yeah, yeah. And one of the reasons why I brought that up now, what I love about my show and what I tell people is that it's a constant conversation. So it kind of builds on each other. So I know, I mean, there may be somebody new. I mean, you're new to having this conversation with me, but there are people who have been listening for years. And so, there are things that we've talked about before, concepts that they might already know about, which is why I was like, let's get to the juicy stuff. But let's go ahead for all the people that are new. Hello, new people who are here watching or listening, and explain sort of how mechanically that works in the body, like what systems we're addressing and how we're approaching that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And as I teach your audience kind of our perceptual framework that leads to a permanent solution, your audience is going to get it. They'll say, oh, that makes sense. But how do I know it's going to work? And I always say, you don't know, but you had an experience from what we did. And of course, our full program is 6 weeks. We did a 90-minute sort of training, which condenses the 6 weeks down to 90 minutes. And just from your experience, could you see that, oh, this could work for people? This is simple. This gets to the root cause.
Yeah.
What did you see?
Yeah. Well, I knew exactly who I thought it would be good for, in terms of the people who, like I've said before, and those of you that have been listening for a while, who know me very well, know when there are times where I bring somebody on the show who is very different than me, and maybe we aren't on the same page about certain things, but they have a message to share, and half of you will tell me, "Oh, you sounded bored on that episode," and then the other half will say, "Oh my God, thank you so much. It's exactly what I needed. That person gave me exactly what I wanted." And Daniel and I aren't opposite, but he will serve some of you more than I could, because he'll speak the language. He'll be the right person saying the thing that you need to hear that you haven't been able to hear from me. And so I absolutely saw a need for you in my community of the people who listen to me and don't take action, because maybe my stuff's just too hard and too scary and I'm too in your face. And they're like, "Oh, you seem like you've made it a technology. You've made it more left brain. Oh, I can get on board with left brain stuff. It's the right brain stuff that scares the shit out of me." So yeah, so we wouldn't be having this conversation if I didn't think there was value there.
Thank you. And that's it was neat to talk to, because when I come on shows and I share what we're doing, people will say, that sounds good, but I don't know if that's really going to work. But you knew from what you teach, oh no, this is good stuff. This works. You said I kind of teach something similar. And from talking to you, you had such low symptoms and low fear that you, of all people, know this approach has legs. And then also you said what I liked about what you learned from me is that it's more simple. It's a framework. It's step by step, and it's great for men and left-brained women. And that's who we serve. And it's because I'm an engineer and we made things simple. So right now, I'm going to explain to your audience the perceptual framework of how to be free of what holds you back in a short period of time. So you know it's at least possible. So the first thing we did is we looked at the whole improvement industrial complex, and we said there's a lot of great theories out there and there's value in it. But there's so many theories, and some of them and when I was struggling, I just felt so confused. I wasn't really sure is it my ego? Is it my trauma? Is it my past? Is it my mindset? Is it my synaptic pathways? Is it my lack of gratitude? Is it my hormones? Am I not vision boarding enough? Am I not, it was very confusing. And I know from science that if you really know what you're talking about, it should be simple. If you really get it. Newton came up with 3 laws of physics. It takes a deep insight of the problem to simplify all of motion down to 3 things. Einstein comes up with the E equals MC squared, one thing that answers a lot of things. So we said, can we simplify this? Because then we're probably close to the root cause. So what we saw, and I'm going to tell your audience this, is it feels like you have multiple problems. It feels like you might have anxiety, and you are a procrastinator. You're a recovering perfectionist. You're a people pleaser. You have low confidence. You are an overthinker. It feels like in your taught you have multiple problems. But what I'm here to tell you and what the research shows is you don't have multiple problems. You have multiple symptoms of one thing, which is basically fear. If you look at the human struggle and you simplify it, you could say you have anxiety, or you could say you're really afraid and you call that high level of fear anxiety. You could say you're a people pleaser, but you could say you're afraid that people won't like you, so you want them to be happy all the time. You could say you're a perfectionist, or you could say you're afraid to make a mistake. You could say you have low confidence, or you could say you're afraid to be your true self all the time. So just if we're going to simplify things to your audience, but also to JJ, can you see that on some level that what we're struggling with are different symptoms of fear?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now that makes sense. And your audience knows that they're afraid. But again, when I would go to these workshops, the end of people pleasing, I went to one and they were focused on the symptom. And if you're focused on the symptom level, you're never going to address the root cause. And that's a lot of why people continue to struggle. It's not your fault. People are selling you the symptoms, but really we need to address the root cause, which is fear. Now, your audience knows that they're afraid. They don't need me to tell them. They're not going, what? I've never heard of this thing called fear. They know they're afraid. However, when I found out I had fear, I went to coaches and therapists. And what I heard was overcome the fear, face the fear, reframe the fear, change my mindset around the fear. And that was good short term. The only downside was the fear was never gone. It was still there showing up. I had better tools, but it still kept showing up. And the engineer and me said, could we just address why the fear is there that's solvable? And that's what we did. So I'm going to explain where the fear is coming from that's making everybody afraid that they haven't heard before. But first, do you have any thoughts? Do you want to share your opinion?
No, I'm a big root cause girl. So I'm on board. So go for it.
Good. Okay. So the first kind of insight we had is that, again, the improvement industrial complex, when it comes to fear, usually we're taught by most people that fear is a problem of the mind. Change your mindset. It's your ego, change your negative thinking, your scarcity mindset. We're told that the root cause of the fear and the anxiety is the mind. Now, the mind is part of it. It ain't helping, but we saw that fear is not originating in the mind. It's originating in another location, which is in the body. And people say, well, no, it starts in the mind and it spreads to the body. If you don't study this inside and out, it feels that way, right? Your mind says horrible, scary stuff. You feel horrible and scared. But your body is mechanically wired such that your body feels what the body needs. And then the mind senses that, and your mind is a little computer to get the body what it needs. For instance, you feel hunger in the body first, then your mind senses the hunger and then goes to try to find you food. So if you're in the jungle and you hear a sound in the bushes, you'll feel fight or flight in the body first. Then the mind senses the fear and goes, uh-oh, there's a threat, there's a problem, we better solve the problem. Now, when there was actual threats, it was a good little system. But now, for a reason which I'm going to explain in a bit, your body is feeling fearful a lot of the time, but there is no threat. But your mind doesn't know that. So your mind goes, uh-oh, there's a problem. You're not good enough. There's something wrong with you. What about your bank account? What about the job? And you start to create a narrative in your mind, which then keeps you stuck in a loop of fear. So can you see that while your fearful mind is part of it, in reality, the body is the actual root cause of the fear? And your audience knows this. You know this, JJ, because when you feel calmer, usually your mind is a bit quieter. And when you start to feel more fear and anxiety in your body, usually your mind starts to amp up. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Can I actually share two things that just happened this week? It wasn't necessarily with me, but so I had done this event, the Embodied Healing Intensive, a couple weeks ago. And how I do everything is I say, what do people need? That's what I'm going to put together. And so people show up and I just wing it and I don't wing it, but I have ideas about what we're doing. But it was about connecting the body and, and the results speak for themselves, whether it's going to work or not. Never done it before, didn't know. And I come out of that and my sister-in-law who had come to the event, I told her, it's a potentially life-changing experience. And so at the end, she said, okay, I came here for two reasons: to support my sister-in-law and to have a life-changing experience, check and check. And since she's been back home, she's literally been a different person because she's calmer, because she, as a Libra, is on her head all the time. Spinning. And this whole event was about body, right? About the subconscious. And then another client of mine at that event who signed up for a program in January, she texted me this morning and she said, hi, I know we're not scheduled to work together till January, but I'm feeling all my emotions now. Thanks. It's really good. And I have high blood pressure. My doctor once put me on a medication, and I don't want that. But it was like because she was repressing, and now we unlocked, and all of a sudden now she's finally feeling, and so it just goes to say, for anyone that was there or had heard, that it really is, it's the body holds 88% of your subconscious. So it's where our energy is. And yet that brain's a computer, and we overuse that head we try to figure things out with your head. Stop trying to figure things out with your head. Yes, we have to go through information to sort of make sense of things, but it really is in the body. And so I do love that about that you had shared that about your system and where we're starting from, because especially as an engineer, come on, engineers are all about being in their head. Like it's an anomaly that you've created an emotional system being an engineer, because engineers are all about logical, logistical thinking and the like left brain stuff, and this right brain stuff, this emotional stuff, is like messy. And so I didn't realize, because you didn't share with me last week, the time and the amount of people, the amount of money that it took to really do the research on this. And bravo for that, because it does give validity to what we're talking about, and of course that it works. So continue sharing.
Thank you. Well, first of all, even what you teach, the fact that it has embodied, it's got the word body right in there. And you and I now know that's a much smarter way to go. And I'm glad that you're at least taking your audience into the body. And the value of what we do for the people that know it's in the body is, again, I think the breakthrough was because normally engineers like me that have my mental firepower and problem-solving abilities, they're focused on the external world. And that's where we get all the incredible technology, is engineers and innovators who are focused on the outside world. Look at all the cool stuff we got. There's a helicopter on Mars, JJ, a helicopter on Mars. It was all figured out. But those people are focused on the external world. And I was just an engineer, part of my karma, who knows? I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll be the one engineer, inventor, problem solver. I'll focus on the inside. And that's the real breakthrough, is because this skill set, we focus on the inside into the body. And also, even for those of you who know that it's in the body, the program allows you to heal in a very short period of time, because there are people that know it's in the body. Your audience knows if it's in the body. You know it's in the body. There's Bessel Brandenkolks, the body keeps the score, Gabor Mate. Some people are aware it's in the body, but they don't have a system to heal the body in a short, simple period of time that's mechanical and simple. That's the breakthrough. And at the end, I'm going to give your audience basically a 90-minute training, which is the content that you got, because right now it's just theory, and I want them to really feel it firsthand in the body, what we're doing. So I'll tell your audience how to get that at the end. So the first thing I want to say to your audience is, if you've learned things where the problem is in the mind, you were sent to the literal wrong location. They were well-intentioned people who had an incomplete understanding of the problem. They sent you to the wrong location. That's why you haven't solved a lot of this stuff, because you were sent to the wrong place. But I hope you can understand and have hope and feel less broken when you realize if you actually went to the actual right place, you'd probably get better results. And the way we got results is, once we found it was in the body, we said, okay, that's great, but we need to make an understanding that's simple and mechanical. And the beauty of the body is it's way simpler. We don't really understand the mind that much. Like, they're just discovering it. They'll say, oh, there's 1 million synaptic pathways, or 1 billion synaptic pathways, and 100 trillion. And I'm like, wait, that's a lot. And they don't know what's going on. They'll say, well, we did a brain scan, and we saw that when we put puppies in front of women, this part of their brain lined up. I'm like, is that going to help me get over my ex? It's not that helpful. But the body, I'm over my ex, by the way. That was a fun, playful example. So, that was one of the beauties, though, is I wasn't over my ex. And when I went through this program, I was free of that. Side note.
But an important note, that was probably your motivation to do all this, one of them.
Well, it was definitely one of the biomarkers, is I would see how attached, how hurt do I feel? And we were measuring it because it was my data. And yeah, when I told you I woke up one morning and I wouldn't say I forgot about her, but that grip was just gone and it's never come back. And that's freedom. That's what we're trying to get people. And you're able to do that because of the body, because the body is much more simple and mechanical. You got ligaments, you got skeleton, you got arteries, you got all that's mechanical. The heart is mechanical, and there's systems. And systems are great because you can understand systems. You understand why systems malfunction and how to repair them. So we just said, what's the system that's creating all this fear? And we found it. And like I said, it's simple. You alluded to it earlier, but I'm going to say to your audience, let's take out the word fear and anxiety and just use the word nervous. Let's just say the whole planet is dealing with different versions of nervousness that then give rise to the symptoms of anxiety, procrastination, low confidence, people pleasing, etc. Okay, so let me ask your audience, and I'm asking you, JJ, but you already know the answer. If you had to guess, what system in the body do you think is malfunctioning, making the whole planet feel a little bit nervous? Do you think it's the skeletal system, the coronary system, or wait for it, say it,
System.
the nervous system? Yes. And if you answered the nervous system, it's because it's just really obvious. There's a system in the body called the nervous system. You got the whole planet feeling different versions of nervous. And after 100 years of modern psychology and crap results with anxiety in the rise, the experts are like, it's a problem of the mind. I'm a mental health expert. No, you're in the wrong place, mental health experts. That's why anxiety is on the rise. It's coming from the body, specifically the nervous system. How do you know it's got the word nervous right in there? What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, pretty damn obvious.
Was that complicated or simple?
Simple.
Yeah. So your nervous system is your body's natural threat response system. If it's functioning properly, you feel safe. It's just your default. You feel safe. If the nervous system is miscalibrated or out of whack or fragile, it feels like there's a threat and you feel unsafe. When you feel unsafe, you feel afraid. When you feel fear, it gives rise to these symptoms. But what if you don't have all these symptoms and problems? What if at the root cause, there's just a system in your body called the nervous system, and for reasons which I'll explain, your nervous system is basically making you feel unsafe from within. If you feel unsafe from within, you're going to feel fear, and it's going to give rise to these symptoms. And from your perspective, JJ, with what you teach, does that kind of line up with some of the things that you teach?
Yes, I will say that I do have a little bit more mental identification of certain things that cause those, and you do too. Yours is different. We're going back in time for some things, and sometimes we're not. You're looking at different ways. Well, we do similar things without giving it all away. We do. We hit it from different points of view. Let's just say that.
Yeah. And the value, I'll just say, I know to your audience, this is theory. I know this is true because we've been developing this program where we measure results. And when clients go through our program, they're tracking their results. And people say, well, how do you measure these things? Well, that was part of the innovation, is how do you create measurability around the human condition? So what that looks like is, I had a client, he's from Alberta, Canada. His name was John. He had anxiety and procrastination. It was affecting his job, his sales. He wasn't very nice when he got home. He wasn't present. He had tried a bunch of stuff that didn't work. He had heard about the work that we do, and he said, well, I like that it's practical and mechanical, and he went through it. And within about 2 weeks, he said, this is just so much simpler, and it's in the body. And he said, I'm already starting to feel better. And he said, I have hope that I don't have to live like this forever. But also, we're measuring his anxiety. So his anxiety went down from, on average, it was about 8 out of 10 for 6 hours a day. And it went down to, I think it was 2.5 out of 10 for about 45 minutes a day. That was just in 6 weeks. But then his procrastination, what we measure is what we call inaction time. His inaction time, meaning how long does it take him to get started, went from 90 minutes to get started on things down to 7 minutes. His productivity went from, I think it was 90 minutes a day up to 6 hours a day. And his focus time, the amount of time he could just sit and focus and be in that flow state, went from about 9 minutes up to about 75 minutes. That's how we measure. And it was because it's in the body and it's simple and mechanical. And we measure these things. And the other thing I'll share with your audience is why your nervous system is out of whack. That makes this solvable. Because sometimes people will say, well, yeah, my nervous system is out of whack. Look what's going on in the world. Look what happened in my childhood. I'm not saying that's not part of it, but that doesn't make it solvable. Unless you can magically change social media and you can go back in time with the DeLorean and change your past, thinking that the reason you feel fear is the past and society, that doesn't make it solvable for you. So this is the understanding that we saw of why the nervous system is malfunctioning that makes this solvable for you quickly. We saw a direct mechanical link between care and safety. Let me say that again. We saw a direct mechanical link between care and feeling safe in the nervous system. And I want you to feel this within yourself, okay? So we'll do a little role play here. I'm going to talk to JJ. I'm also talking to you so you can kind of feel what I'm talking about. Again, the question is, where's this fear coming from? And we found that a big part of the fear is that your nervous system feels unsafe because of care. What does that mean? Okay, let's say we're friends. And for reasons which you don't know, I just start treating you poorly, low care. I'm mean to you. I'm unkind to you. I'm not there for you when you need me. I put everybody else ahead of you, and I put you dead last. I don't care what matters to you and what your needs are. And when you really, really need me, I criticize you and I'm not there for you. If I treat you that way for a while, are you going to feel safe or unsafe around me?
Unsafe.
Yeah. Was that complicated or simple?
Simple.
Yeah. And for most people, they kind of know, yeah, there are these people in my life that don't treat me very well, and I don't feel very safe around them. I don't feel very good around them. You may walk away from them or you may be around them, but you know firsthand, yeah, when people treat me poorly, I feel unsafe. So that sort of shows there's a direct mechanical link between care and safety, because when people don't care for you, you don't trust them. When you don't trust them, your nervous system feels like there's a threat and you feel fear, then you feel fear, all these symptoms. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now, is it fair to say to your audience and to you, JJ, is it fair to say that people usually sometimes aren't a very good friend to themselves?
Yeah. That one is probably more likely actually than the other people treating you poorly.
Yeah. And the fact that you laughed means like, yeah. What's the one you see either in yourself or in other people the most? People not being caring and loving to themselves.
Well, I think that people need a wider interpretation of what that means, of what care means for them, meaning, so I work with core wounds. And so if someone has a core wound of abandonment, they're constantly looking for other people to show up for them, but they themselves abandon themselves all the time. So they wouldn't necessarily consider that care because they've been programmed to believe that I have to find it in someone else. And they forget that they're the blueprint and the beacon in terms of vibrationally of how to treat yourself. So if you're constantly not showing up for yourself through care, through your own self-care and other things, then you're basically letting the world know that you aren't worth showing up for. If I can't show up for me, why would anyone else show up for me? So I think there's a need to expand that idea of care and what that means, which I know that you have and you're going to share with people, because I think sometimes we're so we see through such smaller like viewpoints of interpretation, like it has to look like love languages, like it has to look a certain way. How many times do people feel offended because they don't get love from their partner the way they want it, but their partner's love language is something completely different? And it's really, if we can expand our interpretation of care to include things that to expand that, then we have a better chance of getting that. But I think people suck at giving themselves care because they think it only comes through other people or performing for love or perfectionism or, getting other people to do things for me. And they forget that they're fully in control of doing things for themselves. All of their needs can be met by themselves.
Absolutely. And it's a really good point. 2 points I want to make. First of all, people are aware, they've heard about the idea that you got to care for yourself or be nice to yourself. And people know, oh, I'm pretty critical. I'm really hard on myself. They're aware of this idea. They've heard the thing, we'll put the oxygen mask on first. So thing number one is we diagnosed when we were doing the research that there's 28 ways that ideally a person takes care of themselves and a nervous system. The average person only knows about 5, and they're only doing 2 consistently. So the problem with that is if you don't know how to take care of something because you were never taught it, you can't take care of it. If you didn't know to brush and floss, you will need a root canal. Your teeth will be fragile. We were never taught proper care of our nervous system, so you can't take care of it. Thus, it's in a state of disrepair. And in the training that I want to give your audience, they're going to learn about 7. So 7 out of the 28. And even those, and that's valuable because sometimes I had a woman who came to me and we said, our whole program is all the tools you need in one place in a structure such that you take really good care of myself. And she said, well, you're saying that my people pleasing is a symptom of not taking care of myself. And I said, yes. And she said, well, I take really good care of myself. I go to yoga, I meditate, and I vision board. And I went, well, okay, that's good. That is care. But I showed her she's doing 3 and she's not doing 25. And when she saw the other 25, she went, oh my God, I have not been taking good care of myself. I didn't even know it. No wonder I feel so afraid in my own skin. She used our tools and our system, took really good care of herself and her nervous system. Now she knew how. The fear went away, the people pleasing went away, and she just felt safe because she didn't know. So in the training, you're going to learn about 7 of the 28. But one is just being hard on ourselves, the criticality, if that's even a word. People know about that one. But can you see that if you don't take care of yourself, if you're not caring to yourself 10 to 30 times a day, which we found was the average, that over time, that accumulation of low care is going to leave a person feeling unsafe and afraid in their own skin. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. And can I bridge that a little bit to a tool that my audience has? So on the feelings and needs list, everybody, because there are 86 basic human needs, and most people have no idea what half of them are, or that they think need means needy and dependent and weak. So, and I don't know what those would equate to in terms of how many times a day or week or month you need to get those needs met. But I know that everyone can conceptualize that if you have all the needs on that needs list met, you're probably a pretty happy, safe person. But most of us, I had them all circle what needs they weren't getting met, and most people circled most of them weren't getting met. So it's the same idea that now we have a different list that's specifically nervous system. And now if you're not constantly, if you're not constantly, but if you're not up on how much care you would need, I mean, we've talked about it last time you and I met about like your pets. If you didn't care for your pets wouldn't do well. And your pets need many things. They need food, they need shelter, they need safety, they need water, they need nutrients, they need love, they need tenderness, they need cleanliness, they need, right? Like all these different things that I had a cat sitter come over once and say, your cats look really healthy. And I'm thinking, I'd be afraid to see what your cats look like, because I'm doing sort of what a mother would do for a child on all the levels. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who treat their pets like less than human and do, and don't do all these things. So there is a direct correlation to care and health and nervous system and safety. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to make that correlation because that feelings and needs list is something I talk about all the time. And so this is going to be a new list of the 28 ways for you to care for your nervous system so that you can be rid of fear, doubt, and anxiety forever.
Yes. And the 28, there's 7 of the 28 in the training, but also what they learn is kind of the most important part. Anybody that's paying attention, but also working with you, understands you need to get your needs met. That's great. The problem is, even when you know that, it's difficult to actually do it. That's where a lot of people fail. People already know, put the oxygen mask on first. I knew that. I couldn't do it. So it's not enough to say, here's how you need to take care of yourself. The reason it took 8 years to figure out was to say, it's not enough to tell people this because people can't even do the 3 that they know. So we had to do, the value of the 6-week program is you get all the tools that you need in one place. Usually people get taught one tool from this person, one tool from that person, and that's great for management, but it often you need a synergized toolkit that works together. And a lot of times why people fail is because they need multiple tools in one place, and that's usually not what's sold. For instance, like if you hire a contractor to come to your house and build you a deck, and they walk up and they say, okay, I'm ready to build your deck, but I've got a hammer. It's one tool. I'm ready. I got a hammer. You're like, are you going to trust that that person can get the job done if they have one tool?
No, but you must be lurking in my area because literally our contractor came over yesterday about building our deck on the Airstream. I kid you not, although we trust Ricardo, so it's fine. but how tuned in were you right there?
Well, I will say that because I've used my tools for so long, I feel very safe in my own body. And so my heart is a lot more open and connected to the big wisdom. And that is, so I'm not going to, you're picking up. And for an engineer to sit here and have potentially that level of intuition is also when your heart is open. Anyway, thank you for appreciating me. I do. I've got some skills that come from this. And we see people also, not only does their anxiety go down or their low confidence goes up, We've seen their intuition increase. We've seen their blood pressure go down. We've seen Parkinson's improve. We've seen the ADHD and OCD go away, because what if those are just symptoms of feeling afraid in your own body? Also, relationships. A mother came to me and said, now that I'm calm and I don't have anxiety, my daughter is modeling me, and now she's calmer, but we're much more connected. So there's a lot of results beyond just the things. Anyway, what was I going to say? I got distracted. That's okay. If I was a perfectionist, I'd care and implode and think I'm not lovable, but I'm just chill. Oh yeah. This is all, again, the theory. And a lot of people will say, well, what's the correlation between care and perfectionism? It's there, and that's what I want them to, again, to experience in the training firsthand. That's the value. But the other reason what we do is so valuable is because, again, even if you have the what the problem is. I need to take better care of myself. It's the how. So we have all the tools in one place, but the other thing that's profoundly important is the instructions. Without instructions, you don't know what to do. And I would learn tools from an expert. They'd say, you need to drop out of your mind and into your heart. Here's a tool. And I'd be like, great. And I would fail and then feel more broken and stuck. So it's all the tools in one place in our system, but also it's the instructions. It's super simple, easy to follow. Do these exercises, this amount of time, this day. Tomorrow, do this. It's all laid out, so you can't fail. That's kind of the key breakthrough. Because when we were talking, JJ, if I said to you, you kind of know what we know, or your version of it, and you now know how to take very good care of yourself. And because you take really good care of yourself, you feel relatively calm and safe in your own body because you can get your needs met, which is remarkable. Most people can't say that. How long do you think that took you from start to finish?
Who said I was finished?
From start to right now, how long?
Yeah, it's been, I don't know. I mean, I'm an innovator like you too. I learn something and then I go, whoa, this is so interesting. And let's take this deeper and let's work on this. Like, it took you 8 years to develop this system. So I'm going to say it's been more than 8 years. It's been probably 6, 7, 8, I'm gonna say 10. And I was the guinea pig the entire time of the learning. Actually, no, more than 10, 15, because the impetus for this was my marriage. Actually, a lot of it. I mean, I was already a truth seeker and emotional, wanting to heal things, whatever. But like, really, the real reason why I started any of this was to try to save my marriage. So understanding the mechanics of relationships and communication and wounds and all that stuff happened there. And so I learned it during that, and then have continued to sort of fine tune what I found to work and extracted that and that. So yeah, I'm going to say 15 years. So yeah, yours is 6 weeks. 6 weeks is a lot faster.
Well, that's
than
the point.
15 years.
So it took you 15 to get to where you are now, which anyone will be lucky. And I got here 8 developing, but because of the systemization, now we get the 15 to 18 down to 6 weeks. That's the breakthrough. And because our program is so effective and gets results, and we believe results matter, when people work with us, we don't charge you at the beginning because we haven't helped you yet. We charge our clients at the end once what they're struggling with is permanently gone. Out of 1 million coaches and therapists on the planet, we're the only ones in the world that have what we call our no change, no charge guarantee. So for those of you out there being like, well, how do I know it'll work? You'll know that we are the only ones that I'm aware of where we back up our results like that. And it's because of the systemization and getting it down to 6 weeks. Now, getting back to the nervous system, one that people know about is being critical. Okay, but there's another one that's quite rampant, which is a form of care that people don't think of as care, and that is receiving compliments. So to you, JJ, or do you at least understand the idea that sometimes we're not always very good at receiving compliments?
I know that very well, and not just from me, but from growing up with a mother who still has a hard time accepting compliments and gifts, and even looking at herself on camera or whatever, and having very negative self-talk. So that's part of the reason why I do what I do. But but it has been allowing people to say good things and just to accept them. Absolutely, it is something to value because it will make a difference when you can do it.
Yeah. So your audience already knows about the deflecting compliments. A lot of them probably say, yeah. Most people say, oh, I'm getting better, but I still could be better. So here's the thing. Your audience knows that they don't always receive compliments. They know that they're afraid and have fear. What they don't know is that when they don't receive a compliment, it's not caring for yourself. And over time, it leads to not feeling safe. And I'll show you, okay? This is a very dramatic version. But let's say, again, we're role playing. I'm talking to you, JJ, and your audience. Okay, let's say you've done something great, and then somebody pays you a compliment. And then I jump in and say, no, you get that appreciation away from them, okay? They don't need to be appreciated and seen. What is going to go on is when they mess up, I'm going to beat the crap out of them. If I treat you that way, can you see, are you going to feel safe or unsafe?
Unsafe.
Yeah. So does it make sense that if you're doing that to you 10 to 30 times a day, these little things that you don't even know you're doing are going to accumulate to leave you feeling unsafe in your own body? Does it make sense?
Yes.
So what's cool is if you don't take care of your nervous system, which at a high level, which nobody is, you don't know the 28. And even if you did, your belief system won't let you care for yourself. You're going to continue to not care for yourself, and your nervous system is going to continue to feel unsafe. And so that's why these symptoms aren't going away, is this low-level unsafety is there all the time because you're doing it to yourself every day. That's the big Scooby-Doo. Oh my God, it was Mr. Lincoln from the inn, is we found the culprit of the fear is not your past. It's not your parents, although, you know, they ain't exactly helping. It's not society and social media and COVID and the government. That's not helping. But it's us to us 10 to 30 times a day leaves us feeling unsafe in our own body. It's us to us. And so the value of the system is you learn to take care of yourself. It's easy, it's simple. And at the end of the 6 weeks, your nervous system is healthy and you get to feel a feeling which very few people get to feel. I feel it. I think you feel it. And I want the world to feel it. And that is the feeling of waking up every morning and just feeling safe. How much better would your life be to you, JJ, and I'm asking your audience, if you could just wake up every morning feeling safe from the inside out? How much better would people's lives be?
1,000,000 times better.
Yeah. If you felt safe from the inside out, can you see that your average person may be less of a perfectionist, less of a people pleaser, they'd have more confidence and their anxiety would go down?
Yes.
Yeah, those are all just symptoms. So if we address the root cause. So the downside is the average person doesn't know how to take care of their nervous system. And even if they got the information, their patterns wouldn't allow them. So the downside is our average person is walking around unknowingly, not taking care of their nervous system. They don't feel safe from the inside out, and it shows up in all these symptoms. And if you don't learn to take care of your nervous system and get your needs met, you will continue to have these symptoms of fear, worry, and anxiety and all these symptoms. That's the downside. However, if we can see that a lot of these things we're experiencing that are keeping us from joy and fulfillment are just symptoms of little acts of unhealth that have been accumulating over time. If that's what's going on, which it is, why is it good news if we want to turn this all around to find out that we're just experiencing symptoms of little acts of unhealth every day? Why is that good news?
We can change it.
Yes. That's the big thing. Is if I turn to someone who's struggling and I go, just believe in yourself, activate your infinite potential. What? Like, what do I do with that? It's weird. But we understand that if you make little acts of unhealthy dietary choices, not because you're broken, not because there's anything wrong with you, not because of your childhood, those little acts of unhealth in your diet, you're going to gain weight. It's simple. It's mechanical. It's not a fatty mindset. It's not false fat appearing real. It's just a mechanical consequence of not taking care of your diet. But of course, if you want to lose weight, you don't say, I need to go back and deal with this wound because I didn't get ice cream when I was. No. You can just change your diet, go from unhealthy food to healthier food. There's a mechanism in the body that burns the fat and you lose the fat. So that's the big breakthrough, is little acts of unhealth are creating the problems. Little acts of health each day heal the nervous system so you can feel safe, and then the symptoms go away. And the even better news is that we spent 8 years to get all the tools and the easy to follow, super duper easy to follow instructions such that if you follow the steps, you get the results, which is that you get to wake up feeling safe. And here's the benefit, is you get to experience yourself at a whole other level. People don't even know what this is like. I know what this is like. I had a client come to me. She was from San Francisco. She was a lawyer. She had mid-level anxiety and low confidence. And she came through the program. She heard that we only charge at the end. And she said, there's no risk to try. So she tried it. And not only did her confidence shoot up, she spoke up to people that she normally didn't. She got much better in presentations. Her anxiety went way down. But I was working with her and she said, Daniel, I woke up this morning and I felt something I haven't felt since childhood, which is I feel safe. And then she said, from that place of safety, I have way more energy. I'm not afraid all the time, because when you're afraid all the time, it's exhausting. She said, and I just feel comfortable on my own skin and I like who I see in the mirror. And this is the life I wanted. So the reason I get so passionate and excited about is, yes, we're helping people permanently solve these symptoms, the anxiety, the procrastination, the people pleasing, the low confidence, the perfectionism. But more importantly, when you feel safe, people have access to their full potential, because when you don't have fear, you're naturally authentic, you're naturally open-hearted. And sometimes people say, Daniel, I don't even know what that looks like. You do. Children. If you think of the 5-year-old version of yourself, 5-year-old you was open-hearted, authentic, tons of confidence. When you ask a 5-year-old, what do you want to do today? They don't say, no, I really would like to go to the park, but I have a lot of self-doubt. I feel like imposter syndrome when I get that. No, kids are so excited. They have tons of energy. No one says, oh, I'm thinking of finger painting, but I really feel that I'm not worthy of using glue today. No, they just make a big mess. They don't care. When you ask them what they want to be, they don't say, oh, I don't think I'm not good enough. No, they want to be an astronaut, unicorn pilot, firemen. They have so much. So 5-year-old you is still in there. It's just covered up by the feeling of unsafe and fear. And if in 6 weeks we can get the fear gone, that beautiful, open-hearted, confident version of you comes out. And the best part is, it's permanent. You're free to just be that happiest version of yourself. If you see my energy right now, okay, either I'm on cocaine or a sociopath, or I wake up every morning feeling safe. And so this passion, this excitement is just natural and automatic. And trust me, 10 years ago, I was in the fetal position, afraid to leave my house. So that's what I got to say. What do you think, JJ?
I think that fetal position part of you was the birthplace of this program. So
100%, 100%. Thank you, fetal position. And thank you for all of it. And because as you know, from that pain, we all know that's the motivation. Developing this program was now I'm using fuck. That's how passionate I am. It was hard. But when we saw, wait a minute, I could maybe solve this for me and the world, that's what kept us going for 8 years. And so when I share this with people, it's very meaningful because it wasn't easy. But as you know, we're all here to serve and we use our pain to help others. And I'm definitely that. I know you're that.
Yeah. Well, we want to share what works and we want people to get out of their own way and want them to live the life that they want. And we're tired of seeing them spend money and time doing things that don't work.
Yeah, well, we are, but there's a lot of people out there in this industry. I'm not naming names because I don't know them all, but they benefit from never solving it. They benefit from managing symptoms. The money is in the management, but the satisfaction is in the solution. Can I get a testify?
Amen. Amen to that. For sure. I mean, I started getting clients and that would get results in 2 sessions after they've been in therapy for 3, 5, 7, 10 years. And I'm like, what the hell have you been talking about for 10 years? Why in 2 sessions has your life changed and done a 180? And in 10 years, what the hell were you doing for 10 years? What were you talking about? What were you doing? I don't understand. To me, that doesn't compute. Why would you do that over and over again and not be or feel any better? Or at least feel anyway. So, but yours is 6 weeks and and I know you have this, I want them to experience the 90 minutes. So why don't that's what we're sending them, right? To get the 90 minutes, the free 90 minutes.
Yeah. We have a 6-week program. That's great. But I really care about people and I'm a teacher at heart like you. And I want to just give people the most information, the most value. So that 90-minute training, which is basically what JJ experienced, it's completely free. I want to give that to you. And that is going to it's going to help you really feel in your experience, don't take my word for it, that what you're struggling with is just a symptom and the root cause is in your body and it's fear and it's from not taking care of yourself. That's the root cause. And then you're going to get the theory of how you actually take care of yourself. And then this is the best part. You're going to learn one of our techniques that you're going to apply to yourself. And at the end, you're going to measure it because we measure, results matter. My dad said, that pattern you used to do, you will feel measurably less affected by. You'll feel it in your body. Now, it's only a 5-minute exercise, but that will not only show you what's going on a deeper level, but also it's going to give you hope. Because when you feel this thing lifting out of you without changing your childhood or changing society or changing your parents, and you just feel calmer and more confident from a 5-minute exercise, it'll help you feel like you're less broken, and it's going to give you hope that you really could be free of all this and live the life that you were meant to live. So to get that, I want you to go to my website. I like things simple. My name's Daniel Packard. What do you think my website is, JJ?
DanielPackard.com.
So smart. Gold stars to you. And go to danielpackard.com. And what you're going to see is an offer to get the free training and a free 20-minute coaching session with me. And to get both of those, what you do at danielpackard.com is you're going to book a free 20-minute call with me. Once you book that 20-minute call, I'm going to send you this 90-minute training that will give you these deep, profound insights where you will learn the technique that you're going to apply to yourself that'll help you feel more calm and confident, feel less broken, more hope. But then on our free coaching call that you've already scheduled, I'm going to listen to your experience with the training. And then based on your experience and what you're struggling with, I'm going to coach you to take what you learned in the training and apply it to your life to kind of maximize the results, get more results in the more areas of your life. And I cannot tell you the combination of that training with the free coaching session, I don't use this phrase lightly, has changed people's lives. I had a woman last month from London. She was an architect and just for years just struggled with this stuff. It was perfectionism and anxiety and people pleasing and procrastination. And I remember she went through both of those. And at the end of us working together, she just said, I can't believe it's that simple. And then I followed up with her. The anxiety was gone. The perfectionism was significantly down. It was all just, she was free of it for the most part. And I've seen that. So that's how I want to serve your audience. Again, to get the free 90-minute training and a free coaching session, go to danielpackard.com, book a free call with me. You're going to get the free training, have that deep experience and learn a technique. Then we'll have a free 20-minute coaching call and I'll show you how to maximize what you learned in the training so that we can get you feeling safer and get rid of those symptoms and just give you access to that best, happiest version of yourself quickly and easily. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Everyone go to danielpackard.com, check the show notes for the links and make sure to take that offer. I think it's going to be amazing for you. I can't wait to hear about it. I can't wait to share the results and experience what you come up with because I know I've experienced it. So please go get it. And Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't wait to hear about everyone's results.
I want to hear about results because results matter. Agreed? So everybody out there, be part of it. Go out, get the results, and then share it with us. Results matter. Agreed?
Yes.
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me.
Of
Thanks
course.
for listening. Bye.